I'd like to ask you to come on a small journey with me. And I want you to imagine that you wake up tomorrow morning and you find yourself um, living on a tropical island called Hawaii. And you're surrounded by, it's beautiful weather, and incredible sunrises and sunsets. And the earth just produces and brings forth the most amazing plants almost on its own. And and so I want you to imagine that this is your new reality. So imagine living in the most fertile place on earth where, guava and mangoes just fall from the trees with almost no effort. The rain comes and waters your land, and you have um, just this overabundance in terms of the way that the land just gives to you. So I want you to ask yourself if this were your reality, what would you do? Like assuming that you don't already have an income and the land is growing, almost any seed you drop in there, it just provides for you. What would you grow? What would you do? So with that question in mind, I want to invite you to come on a journey with me to um, hundreds of years ago when uh, lots of Westerners started discovering Hawaii, and they realized what a fertile place it was, um, and how readily things grew. And many chose to grow sugarcane. Some chose to grow pineapples, and others chose to grow coffee. None of these are indigenous. None of them are native to Hawaii, but they chose to grow each of these in a monocrop fashion, meaning they just wiped out all the trees, wiped out everything else, and just grew that one thing, and did it in like ridiculous quantities. Um, what that's done, we got to witness as we took our family to Hawaii over the Christmas break, and it's really tragic. Um, uh, Hawaii is now um, the extinction capital of the world um, because of the way the land has been treated. They have permanently lost. Um, I think they used to have 163 native birds, and now they have 30. They used to have a beautiful web, a forest, and all of the species of plants and animals that do so well together. The island is mostly weeds. The sugarcane industry has pulled out because they can grow it cheaper in other places. There are some coffee uh, fields still there, um, but the pineapple industry has also pulled out, just leaving really barren land where just the weeds grow and the forest can't come back. So that is the current state of most of Hawaii. And so now enter doTERRA. doTERRA, as it's growing, it has this beautiful oil called illóolajon, and some of us know it as Hawaiian sandalwood, but it is such a gorgeous oil. If you have it, I want to invite you to open it up and bring it along on this journey because it is native and it is one of the most beautiful oils I think doTERRA has to offer. It's so grounding. It's so good for meditation. It's so good for deep sleep. It's amazing for all things skin related. Sandalwood, funny thing, it's the oil I go to for hiccups. So if you ever have hiccups, cover your hand with sandalwood, deep breath in, hold it, and I'd be shocked if you don't get rid of your hiccups with sandalwood. Um, so doTERRA is growing so quickly, they realize we need more sandalwood. And so they start looking around and, they source some from India, but Hawaii is this wonderful opportunity where, um, unfortunately, in the past, companies have over harvested the sandalwood. And so there's not a lot already growing. Back in, gosh, was this 8 years ago? The doTERRA started the sandalwood project. Um, but there still were some farms in Hawaii. So I want to take you and show you some pictures of when Natalie and I went to Hawaii in 2019. So doTERRA had a sandalwood farm. They had been getting things set up, but this is what most of the farms looked like. They had been wiped out. They'd been over harvested, and doTERRA said, we can help. We can help bring back the indigenous plants. We can help bring back the forest and all the good that comes as a forest comes back. So this is what it looked like. And then doTERRA gave us the opportunity to plant um, some Hawaiian sandalwood trees. And so this is a picture of me and Natalie planting our baby sandalwood tree, our little iliahi. And so since we went back to that same island and we chose the big island for the reason of revisiting um, Kale, uh, Kalekaua. So that's the big forest reserve that doTERRA has set up there in Hawaii. And so we dedicated a whole day, and we took the whole family. So we had my parents, our kids, um, some of their spouses, and it was all 13 of us. We hop into a van and we head up to um, this incredible place. Obviously, we were curious to see how our trees were doing, but we also were just um, taken in by the whole experience. But then we walked through some trees right before we entered the property. This is right on the edge of the property. And this is our beautiful guide. She's Hawaiian, and she uh, took us on a little journey where we did kind of a little meditation or chant, an honoring of the forest, an honoring of, the Hawaiian tradition is that the land is actually an ancestor. And so imagine thinking of the island as your grandmother. And so it's like they're speaking to the grandmother, like, we're here. We'd like to come and pay respect. And this is her leading us. And then we all stood before the forest, and she led us in this chant. And as we stood there, the feeling that we all felt was just such humility, such gratitude, such reverence for this sacred space and the way it's been prepared and the way it's been treated. And so we continued on into the reserve. This is a picture of the gate, us at the gate. We came in, and then we started driving by the facilities where they have the nursery. And so this is where they prepare the seeds. This is where they start the seeds. And you can see they have all of these little seedlings that they're taking and moving from seed trays to larger pots, and they're protecting them. The rats like to get it at these, and so they could put them in these cages. But these are the different trees, and then they took us through the facility where they dry out the sandalwood. So you have to harvest the sandalwood, and then it dries out. And so these are in these big sheds. They have some of these sandalwood trees that are getting ready to be chipped up and then distilled into an essential oil. So here we are at the distillery, and this room smelled so amazing. I wish, if you have your sandalwood, your Hawaiian sandalwood, please open it up. It smelled so good. And then we hopped back in the vans and we drove up to the area where Natalie and I planted our seedlings back in January of 2019. Or that's 5 years. So Natalie and I were expecting to find, a tree that's maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet tall, maybe 6 or 7 if we're lucky. But this is us by our trees that we planted. So as you can tell, that whole area is 25 to 35 feet tall. These trees are massive in 5 short years. And it was so humbling to me to witness how doTERRA is, and the way doTERRA plants these trees, they don't just put in illóolajon, they also put koa trees, and they put the two side by side because their roots feed each other. The sandalwood tree would not do well without its partner of koa tree. And so doTERRA is bringing back these trees. And last year alone, we planted 30,000 trees. It's the largest reforestation project this side of the Mississippi. Definitely the largest in Hawaii, but it's the biggest in the whole west of the U.S. We learned so much from our guide. We learned we got to help sort the seeds. So there aren't enough seedlings on the island for doTERRA to make this a sustainable project. And so they grow their own, they harvest, they bring in their own seeds, and so we were helping sort the good from the bad seed. And the overarching lesson that I learned at our experience at Kealakekua is that when life puts a gift in your hand, you have a choice. You can take that gift and you can go out and try to turn a profit. You can say, I'm going to use this land, this plant, this opportunity, and focus on getting the most profit out of it that I can. Or you can choose to be a steward. You can choose to say, I am the mother of this plant, of this land, and I will care for it. And I will create a sustainable ecosystem that not only takes care of me, but also takes care of all of the plants, all of the animals around it. I will choose to be one with the ecosystem instead of being the slave master of it, and treating the land like it's subordinate to you. And this is the heart and soul of doTERRA. doTERRA, the 7 owners, have this mindset of, how can I be a steward of all that's been given to me? Not how can I maximize, how can I squeeze the most profit out of something, how can I get and take, but instead, how can I nurture, how can I love, how can I give back? And this is why the Sandalwood Project is thriving. This is why doTERRA has been so prospered. And I believe that this is the one question that is the most important question for each of us in our own businesses, in our families, in our lives, is how can I be a better steward? How can I care for whatever's been placed in my hands? Obviously, doTERRA is one of those gifts that's been placed in your hands. How can I care for it? How can I care for my community in a way that's giving and sensitive to the different pieces and elements, the different people in that community and how they interact? How can I create sustainability for planet Earth, for my family, for my business? And so that's the lesson that that I learned again in Kealakekua on our trip to Hawaii.